Yeah.
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. It's Dr. Danny and Michael Hartigan. Michael's been on my channel before. We've done panel discussions with our colleagues. But tonight we are going to get some really wonderful information. We're going to work together tonight. Usually we do these brainstorming sessions with the co-teachers in like a private Zoom call. We just kind of think about how we want to do the class, and we come up with ideas, how we're going to present it, what order we're going to do it. Are we going to do this framework, that framework, etc.? And so this is basically what this call is tonight. And I wanted everyone that is taking the class and going to be part of the class or considering to be part of the class to watch and be a part of this process. So feel free to comment because we will see your comments. I'm going to turn my screen off because that's annoying. Oh my gosh. Sorry, y'all. There we go. It's working. We're live. It's so fun. It's such a process doing this, So, all right, everybody, welcome. We're going to do a little bit of work tonight. It'll be fun. We're going to go down some rabbit holes, pull some threads, figure out what we want to think about with Uranus. So really, the announcement tonight, you guys, is the Uranus class. This is next Friday at 6 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. It will be a Zoom call. So if you decide to go for the class and enroll, then there will be instructions for you to join this live Zoom class on next Friday night.
It's October 4th, right?
Yeah, October 4th. That's right. October is right around the corner. Like, it's coming. It is coming. We are going to get hit with an eclipse, and then we're going to get hit with Venus moving into Libra, and then it's going to be time to talk about Uranus. So what's so wonderful about doing these classes with other creators and other educators is that there's this whole other, like, I'm just one person. I don't know everything. And so what we're doing is we're bringing in a modern perspective from people that have been studying, just as long as I have, but maybe have areas where they're more special or where they're more resonant. Like, for example, I consider myself a Venus expert. I know a lot about that planet, and I'm definitely going to give you the download if you want to talk about Venus. And I feel the same way about Michael. So I really hope you guys can join the class. The links are in the comment. Please check it out. The class comes with a meditation, you guys. This meditation was created on my channel probably about 2 years ago, and I put it down. I put it in my vault. But this is great. What we do is I take you on a guided meditation to the planet Uranus, and then we sit there and we download these cosmic geometries, and we chant the seed mantras to the root chakra, the sacral chakra, and the solar plexus chakra, as well as the Vedic mantra to Uranus. And then so you just kind of sit there in these wobbly vibes, and the music's created by me, y'all, with my MIDI keyboard over here and GarageBand, and I use a frequency that's related to the cosmic octave. So planets orbit in cycles per unit of time, and cycles per unit of time is a frequency. So if you double that frequency, then you get you octave it until you can hear it. And that's the frequency we use for Uranus. So that meditation is already ready to go. If you sign up right now, you can do that. Once we go live, we record the class. So if you can't join us on Friday, like if you have something better to do than like talk about Uranus on a Friday night, I don't know what that would be, then it will be recorded and you can catch up and, watch the video at your leisure. But the fees that we charge for these courses is to, normally I'll compensate my co-creators' time and then pay the expenses to keep the website going. But all the profits from this are going to go to Michael's partner, Serena, her disability fund. They've been struggling, trying to get assistance through the government. And they're kind of like the common story that you hear, people that work hard but need a little help, need a hand up. And so I want all of this to go to that. So if you guys sign up for this, then you will be helping us with a good cause as well. So, Michael, why don't you tell us about yourself and introduce yourself to my peeps.
Hello. Peeps, I'm honored to be here. Thank you, Dr. Danny, and thanks everyone. I'm an astrologer. I've been an astrologer for 6 years, and I've studied it for about 30. I've taught meditation and interestingly, not yoga. Never went the yoga teacher route, but my own yoga teacher really focused on meditation, and when I started to teach, I started to teach in the context of teaching meditation. I taught meditation for 7 or 8 years, and then I left to do astrology. This is my first time teaching anything astrological in a formal context. So Danny, you have a delightful way of holding space. I'm really not nervous about it. I don't feel like a harshness or like a judgment or like I want you to succeed, and I think that's recognized. And I think just out of a shared goodness, we've just sort of approached this in a really open way, rather than like, yo, look, we're going to get X amount of students and make this much money, and you have to be on point with it. And I've never felt more comfortable given like that it's the first time doing something. I really just want to thank you for the space that you hold.
Oh my gosh, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that I tend to not ask for help. And so I did all this, by myself, building it, trying to figure out all the all the back end stuff. But the vision really from the beginning has been a collaborative endeavor where the money just goes back into it so that it can grow, and it can be a place where people can come and learn about this kind of astrology. It's a little bit different. Yes, we use the tropical energies for sure. All these archetypes, they're very valuable. And we're not knocking, tropical astrology at all. But to dive into the energy of a fucus, to really understand what that means in your chart, to understand the accurate transit dates of these larger planets, it's huge. I mean, we're in a totally different Pluto paradigm if you study this kind of astrology versus tropical astrology.
Sure.
And so they're creating this Pluto and Aquarius energy that we're just not there yet.
Oh wow, yeah, that's true. That's true. And at the same time, I think that the way you frame it is like we use tropical ideas, tropical. I think that all of those ideas, going back to Claudius Ptolemy, were sidereal. Like I would say, tropical used the language of astrology and sort of turns.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say that we use tropical anything, but that's just a little. I just want to dial it in just a little because language can be important.
No, I love thinking of it that way. That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect.
I feel very confident, like applying what we know about, let's say, Gemini to the star group Gemini, because that whole body of knowledge that we have arose out of watching the stars. Like it was later, later they introduced tropical and said, well, we'll put Gemini over here in the sky. But
well, it kind of just drifted real slow, and we really were discouraged from looking at the sky.
It did. That's accurate. We didn't put it anywhere. Yeah, right. They sort of denatured the relationship that we had to the sky, which is interesting, because to turn this to Uranus represents the sky. And in fact, when they first discovered Uranus, the guy who discovered it was a little bit of a muffin, and he wanted to name it George's star because George was the king, and this guy wanted points. He wanted points with the king, so he was going to call it George's star, having nothing to do with mythology or the pattern of naming planets. And then they were like, no. And they thought
George isn't going to win.
Like, whatever. It was the 1700s, whatever. 1780 something, 81, I think. But the longest time they wanted to call it Astraea, Star Maiden. Astraea is a justice goddess that we'll see more of, because this eclipse happens very closely conjunct Astraea, so you'll see it more, at least on my channel in my videos. They wanted to call it Astraea.
Michael does do more stars than I do.
Oh yeah, I have a channel. I have one. I'm One Sky Astrology. We got sidetracked from talking about me, talking about Aquarius. I'll dovetail back. Thanks, Danny. I'm an Aquarius rising. I like long walks on the beach and French pastry. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I do. I have a channel. It's One Sky Astrology. Yeah. And I make monthly lunar cycle videos. So we'll be looking at this eclipse coming up through the lens of constellational astrology, of course. But when they found Uranus, they wanted to call it Estrella. They thought it was female. There's a large movement, like a great contingency in that direction. But do you know why they called it Uranus?
Uranus, right?
Uranus, yeah, in Greek, right. Do you know
and that was
why?
the father of Saturn, yeah?
Right. And
Yeah.
Saturn was the father of Jupiter. So they were just like, who's your daddy the whole way out? And I guess they got to figure out like who's Uranus's dad if they want to go, but that's not how it shook out. So it was purely having nothing to do with what they recognized. Like, okay, so you have to put this into perspective. Everything that we knew about the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, we knew from antiquity because we could see them with the naked eye. But when we discovered Uranus, and they thought it was a star for a long time, then they're like, oh my gosh, it's a planet. That's the context that all of this George's whatever and everything arose out of. Like we had ancient information about everything else. And there was a whole lot of people who said, oh, Uranus, we shouldn't use it. It confuses astrology. Like, you know how they tell us now that we should be tropicalist because the world is tropical. Well, they said that when anything comes along and it's different.
Yeah. Uranus is wild. Uranus is different.
Yeah.
So I think what would be really good for tonight, what might be helpful for us, is to let's just think about Uranus deeply, and then consider different formats for the class, and maybe kind of dovetail the Saturn Uranus conversation with how the class should be structured. Because there's
we could be that good cop, bad cop. Like you could do Saturn Uranus, and I'll do Neptune Uranus, and then we'll meet in the middle.
Perfect. Yeah, I like it. I like it. So I've been doing some research because I want to, and I've been trying to, every time I do a new course, I try to embody what I'm learning, because isn't that what we're doing with astrology? It's like as above, so below.
Isn't it? Yeah.
So where's my Uranus? What's it doing for me? What's it aspecting? All that good stuff. I've been looking into that.
Oh, cool.
And there's a book by Jeff Green called Uranus: Freedom from the Known. And it's basically a transcript from a conference that he did. And it was really free flow, which was pretty cool.
I've heard that talk. It's a wild talk. I don't have a copy of that, but I love that.
Yeah. And I'm still working through it. But some of the points that were made, number one, is that freedom inevitably entails being utterly bound to experience by a new revelation. And to be truly free of something, one must first enter into and fulfill and transcend a relationship from it. To be free from the known, one must first know. I think I dictated this, so that's why it sounds a little Yoda-ish. But
okay. But it would sound Yoda-ish anyway. You could. That's going to sound Yoda-ish anyway. You say.
Yeah, and so that one point is basically like this. I get this like genius energy where you really do know so well everything that you already know, that it's second nature. You don't even have to worry about it. And that's where Uranus is sort of good at jumping out into the unknown.
Yeah. Uranus jumps. It's like an action, a Uranus action. It's Uranus has lurches and jumps and a sort of spasmodic energy, and it'll just surge forward into the future very bravely. That's why it goes well with Mars. It pairs well with Mars. But yeah.
So there can be an analysis paralysis too with Uranus, right? Not to get right into the shadow energy of it, but it's having too many options, right? A bewildering array of meaningless possibilities.
Like the Seven of Cups, if you know the tarot.
Oh yeah, I do. Seven of Cups. Desiree would know about that.
It's very Uranus Neptune, very Uranus Neptune. But I would say both those planets have a quality that's just like bewildering, overwhelming, too little boundaries, too much of everything all at once.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a lot of mental energy there too with Uranus. It's like a
Mhm.
cosmic mental, almost like when people say download or brainstorm, which is what we're doing tonight. It's very Uranian because you're just kind of letting it flow in, letting it flow out. Does it stick? Does it not stick? And so the mental energy, the mind that knows and knows it knows and knows it knows about the pitfalls of knowing, casts off what it knows.
Is that Jeffrey Wolf Green talking about that
Yes.
meta?
Yes.
The meta. Yeah, okay, but no, he's not wrong. I think
Mm.
Uranus is where you reach threshold and break through, and then Uranus is where you encounter that sort of consciousness that can look at itself and know that it's looking at itself. And then from another point of view, once you get that stabilized, you can kind of look at that, and you end up wondering, like, what's looking, who's looking. That's a real Uranus question, but it's in the breaking through to the next level, the next echelon, the next layer. That's a Uranus function.
And I don't think Uranus is ever really satisfied. I feel like there's
No, I would say that's one of the shadow sides of Uranus. One is that it's rebellious, and two is that it's just always anxious. It's always moving out of its own inner, like, yeah, very dissatisfied. Very inner dissatisfaction goes with Uranus. In a way, it's almost like an urge to make better, an urge to improve. That you see Uranus really consistently making things better, what it touches, but it does it by, like, disrupting. It's got this, like, mm, what's the word I'm looking for?
it's almost
Uranus.
an ambivalence to attachments, emotional attachments. Like it's just
That's it. Uranus is aloof to feelings as an outer planet, and Uranus just doesn't get into that stuff that the inner planets get into, what we like, how we feel, how we're organizing our life, what we want to do. Uranus represents the part of us that's driven by deeper forces. It represents a subconscious kind of, usually chthonic, like under the surface part. That's yeah, it's got its own strange logic.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think what's interesting is that its orbit, 84 years, is about the length of a human life,
Mm.
plus or minus, right? Some people live longer, some people die earlier,
Mhm.
um, but that path of individuation, right?
Mm.
So we have a spark of divinity, right, in the center of us, right? And when we take on these physical bodies, these just this combination of matter and energy with consciousness, that little individualized spark, no one else has one just like it, right? Like yours is different, mine is different. Every single human, like your fingerprint, like your DNA, like your mind, it's just that unique you. And the path of Uranus is to boldly express that,
Yeah.
right?
Very individualistic. Very.
Like
Yeah.
without any care really for what anyone thinks, but at the same time
Yeah, I'd go with that.
taking that
I'd say
on.
I'd take it a step further and say it likes to kinda grind salt and put sticks in the eyes. It
Right.
likes to kinda make things a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, kind of like trailblazing, slashing the field in front.
Yeah.
And I often tell people that Uranus energy can be a lonely road, right? Because it's lonely at the top of your mountain. you know,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you've sort of plowed yourself into the middle of a cornfield and you can't see anyone from left to right, you're not sure if you're doing it right.
yeah,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
So
I do.
so we have this whole lifetime where we can really come through and express ourselves individually, and also because of its cycle, there are key moments in our lives where Uranus will make contact with natal Uranus, and
Mhm.
the Uranus square, the Uranus opposition,
Mm.
the Uranus return. I mean, if you're blessed to
Mhm.
live that long and
21 to
study astrology.
42.
Yeah.
Yeah. 21 to 42, it'd be 60, geez, 63 and 84. For everyone are Uranus, big Uranus years.
So yeah, I think it's just really an amazing energy, and I think that when I speak about it, I say its path to enlightenment is metamorphosis and individuation. So
Mm.
it is to change from the programming that you're given, sort of the basic code, right?
Yeah.
It gives you your upgrades, so
Yeah.
you can be the individual person. So
Yeah.
yeah, deconditioning, liberation, freedom from the status quo, reality. But then there's this unity part of it too, right? So there's
Right.
this
Yeah.
uniqueness
That's where
part of it,
it's
and
where
then
it's
there's
out with
this,
Neptune. It
yeah.
bridges Saturn and Neptune. It really does. Yeah. But say more. Say more. Oh, say more about the unity aspect that you were recognizing.
Right. So we have all these unique sparks, this diverse group of souls coming together in unity, in collaboration. Now, not necessarily in sameness, but in those individual sparks. And that's what makes us so wonderful. I mean, I love people that are different from me. I look
I
at them
know.
with eyes wide open, like an innocent child going,
Oh my
tell me
gosh.
more. Take me to your
Right.
leader. Like, who are you? I want to learn.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that as an Aquarius rising and Uranus being my chart ruler, I've always appreciated, and this is very Uranus, very Aquarius. I've always appreciated cultural diversity. I've always appreciated just different people, funky people. I always appreciated rebellious stances and points of view that thought for themselves critically in the face. I always appreciated those people that swam upstream,
There's an
and
authenticity to it.
well, there can be if it's authentic. Now, I would say that one of the lessons I've had to learn as an Aquarius and Uranus person is that it will take a rebellious stance. It will take a hard no. It will take a middle finger stance without necessary, like that's its baseline, is like rebellion. If you tell it what to do, it will push back. And it doesn't always have the nuance in and of itself. I mean, it can benefit from other planets in this way. It can benefit from placements and aspects, but just by itself, I found that Uranus can be a little like rebel without a clue, rebel without a cause, rebel without a reason. Like when it's time to rebel, the rebellious energy we draw on Uranus. But when we're oriented through the lens of Uranus, the world can just seem like a bunch of people saying, get a job and do this and do that. And we can just be like, oh, no to everything. So to take a stance against something, isn't necessarily interesting in and of itself. There needs to be deeper purpose and reason. Now, Uranus often has that, but it can lack it. And there is a little dark side. I don't want to glorify something just because it's like middle fingers in the air, hard hell no.
Right.
That we need to think a little deeper than that. But Uranus also likes to think deeply
Sure.
about
Yeah, I've
why
always said that about causes. I was like, anyone that's against something, you kind of want to stay away from. But
if they
if
define themselves as against, right? If they're just,
yeah,
that's my enemy and this is how I orient my
mhm.
life. That's right. That's right. That's a red flag.
Yeah, you're
Mm,
only going to get what you resist in that regard.
right.
When you're fighting for something,
Mm,
when you're
that's it.
living joyously in the gratitude of
That's
having
it.
that thing that you're fighting for, then
That's it.
it's more powerful. It's 10 times more powerful.
That's right. That's right. That's absolutely been my experience, Danny. I thank you for that.
For sure.
But Saturn is ruling conformity. Saturn is correlate with ideas of more like corporate, imperial, kind of rank and
Mhm.
file. Everyone mostly like when I
Sacrifice
think of
individual freedom for the good of all. Yeah.
right, for the greater
Mhm.
good. That's
Mhm.
for the greater good is the Saturnian battle cry, and it's true. There's for people who place the good of the community above individual good, they find that those communities prosper and flourish. Now, in in contrast to Uranus, we can say that Saturn people like when everyone is sort of homogenized, when everyone's wearing suits and ties, and
Mhm.
everyone's more like the same. And then Aquarius, and that's most people. And Jeffrey Wolf Green taught this as part of evolutionary astrology. He said like 75% of people in any given culture at any given time are going to be Saturn people. Saturn just rules 75% of human evolution. But then through working through the sort of Saturn level of evolution, you get the idea like there must be something more. There must be something more than rank and file conformity. And you think, well, maybe the individual approach, maybe then I'll cultivate
Yeah.
individualism. And we go through Uranian levels of
And that's Uranus's knowing
right.
of the Saturn. And
Uranus
how,
has to know the Saturn and transcend and leap
yeah,
beyond it, exactly as you said before. And then it starts a journey of discovering what makes it unique and how it's amazing. Not how it's amazing because it's the same, but how it's unique.
exactly.
And then beyond that, we get into Neptune journey, which is more like the spiritual journey and the journey to like actually understand like what the hell this is, or just come to terms with the reality that we may never understand what this is.
Right. Acceptance and
Yeah.
surrender. And
Acceptance, surrender, forgiveness, forgiving God for making this such a diabolical mind fuck.
Yes, yes. Well, that whole Saturn Uranus dichotomy is, the journey through medical school, for example. The art of medicine you're severely limited through the rank and file of the getting through the classes and being trained by the attendings and the senior residents and everything. So you put up with it so that when you're on your own and you're practicing, you can make sound decisions within the framework of the accepted cultural norms of medicine, but yet still you use your artistic sense to make it work the best for you and your patients. And so it's like, it's like going through the motions almost,
learning the muscle memory. I would say we have to learn the rules before we bend the rules. We have to know the rules really well before we start to bend them. And we have to be able to bend them and know how far we can bend them and before we start to break them, So there's a stepwise progression when it comes to rules. And a very important stage in all this is the Saturn stage of like incorporating and learning the rules. Then you get to the Uranus stage of bending the rules and kind of pushing back against the boundaries and the thresholds and the edges of things. Uranus very interested in thresholds and edges and what's on the other side.
Amazing. Yeah, I feel like our practice of constellational 13 sign astrology is like bending the rules, but we're not, right?
Well, it just depends on whose rules you subscribe to, who makes the rules.
Then there's that.
If freaking horoscope astrology to the tune of long walks on the beach and French pastries, if that's the rules, then fuck that. I'm not here for that. I'll straight break those rules and not just bend, but I've got to say, when you dig into the history of all this and the way it's always been done, and this is where Uranus's position is it just becomes cyclic, and you find Phoenix and Anka and the stars around cyclic revolution and the return of this the eternal cycle in Aquarius, but it's all just, I mean, in a long enough timeline, this just spirals and just
spirals up, and it's all about evolution.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think the evolution is more meaningful than just the technology that Uranus is known for. I think the evolution is actually inner, and it's meaningful. I think we evolve in meaningful ways over time inwardly that correlate with the levels of consciousness that now we're getting into, the Pluto, the Neptune, the Uranus, and everybody has an individuality. Like even the most hardcore conformists, like 50 suits, closet, whatever. Like there's Uranus in that.
They have a freaky side, yeah.
Oh, sure. It could. I mean, or even if they didn't express that or weren't in touch with that, they have a part of them that thinks for themselves. That's a Uranus function to think. It's very much like we give Virgo that credit, critical analysis, but I'd say Virgo is like and it's pretty elevated expression of Mercury if we're going to correlate it to Mercury. And I would say
I'm not.
that's okay. I don't either.
Yeah.
But I would correlate Uranus to Mercury. They're both mental. They both
As a
function
higher octave, yeah, I would
a
think.
higher octave, right? They both function within an octave of mentality, where they're electric and mental and primarily dynamic and motion oriented. They accelerate things. There's so many relationships. So
Yeah.
Uranus is like a higher octave of Mercury in the same
Mhm.
way. I don't know if you get into that in your classwork, but
I
Venus.
do. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
good.
I
Oh,
think
good.
I think one of the things that we should definitely do is do Uranus in aspect
Oh,
for
cool. Yeah.
sure. Like we should definitely touch on that because how Uranus affects Venus is different
Mhm.
than how
Mhm.
it affects, Mars and Mercury. There's a whole different dynamic when you're working with other planets. And so it's never just Uranus on its own. So if we're talking about that divine individuated path, what's going to either help you on your path or be a challenge for you to really follow the enlightened path of Uranus, if that's what you
Mm.
want to do. So
Sure,
yeah.
sure. I think in everyone's chart, regardless of whether you're a Uranus person or follow the path or whatever, I think Uranus is a liberation influence. It wants to take you towards freedom. It's your angle of approach to freedom is represented by Uranus in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
So Uranus Mercury contact, these people get really smart and they tend to conceptualize freedom. They tend to be like academics and people who have like higher orders of thought and
Oh,
stuff. I'd
right.
love to talk about that. I'd love to break it down because we can say, without even getting into aspects. In fact, I love planetary contact, devoid of aspect at first. When you just say, well, any aspect between
Yeah.
Mercury and Uranus, you'll see this. You'll
Yeah.
see
Well, we can
any.
explore it from like the
I'd love
highest, yeah,
love that. Yeah,
from the shadow to the shine. We can explore how the planets interact with Uranus. I think that would be really, really good.
that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Um, so one of the things that I always want, so I usually have a PowerPoint. We kind of go through it. It's pretty structured, but
I,
I
I've,
really feel like
yeah, I saw that.
I really feel like I don't know if I
Uranus
want
is
to
on the
do
record.
that. I just don't want to do that. Yeah. I kind of want to just provide the resource
Hmm.
document, right?
But
So
okay, but
we'll have a 3-page document with like the gold. So if you need, keywords. So if you're doing any
yeah.
of your readings and you really want to, listen to the class, look at the Uranus document, and then you can like pick up your keywords and then do the reading on someone's Uranus.
I was gonna say, I think at the same time, there's a lot about Uranus that we know, and we know. We've watched this thing for almost like 300 years now, and I think that there could be reference material that's like, on that's sort of like if you like PowerPoints or wanna reference something, but I think that spontaneity is like where Uranus really shines,
Yeah.
and in the channeling of things, not in the logical trying to plan them ahead of time and
Right.
analyze.
Like the less I'm prepared, I think the better it'll be. But at the same time,
Right.
I do have a very strong Saturn in my chart. so
Me too. Me too.
so I think it's important to maybe we'll just use slides as chapters. Like, okay, here we go. We're gonna talk about this set of planets. and then we're
Well,
gonna go, yeah.
I think broad strokes are really good. Broad
Okay.
strokes
I
are
think so
good.
too.
And
Yeah, and then we'll just have the document so that way you can refer to it as a resource rather than us just going through like I don't know if I want to do the whole parade. I think I
so you're
kind of
talking
yeah.
about through the signs and houses and stuff like
Yeah.
through
I mean, I think maybe
usual.
definitely yeah, let's definitely
Mhm,
do
mhm.
I think let's just leave out houses because houses are kind of the same as the signs. So we can just
That's
say,
okay. That's
first
yeah,
house Aries. We can just say that.
sure.
And then I think give the correct transit dates for the last transit date and the next transit date, the correct, accurate star transits for Uranus. Because right now everyone thinks Uranus is in Gemini or something like that, or late
Oh
Taurus.
man. Oh, that would make sense. That would make sense. They would be thinking that, yeah.
But yeah, so we have Uranus in Taurus right now, and
That's true.
it's totally different energy than Uranus
That's
in Gemini. Now, do we experience Uranus in Gemini right now? Yes, because there's a collective intention to do that. Just like it's a collective intention that it's Libra season right now, but it's not.
Yeah, well,
It's still Virgo, right?
a lot of people tap into that, and that's one of the interesting things about Uranus. Uranus rules astrology, so in a way, and I don't say that just because Uranus was the god of the skies in this Greek thing that we've already acknowledged was like out of left field, like who cares? I say that because of the relationship to Mercury, who like also rules astrology, but also like Uranus is a pattern recognition like monster. It's just one of the things it does is allows you to put Uranus and Aquarius people can all do like next level things with just like, you ever see the game Set?
No.
Okay, haven't seen Set. It's about finding patterns. It's about quickly picking out patterns. My point is that I think that it's you know what? I was trying to make too many points, and I think I'll just leave it. I wanted to say, if you want to think about a systematic, like broad strokes, and thinking about things systematically, I do think talking about Uranus and the way it interacts with other planets is really good because we have a lot of information there. Like I have a lot of information on that, and I think that's a good thing to present on. And Uranus through the star groups is good too.
Yeah, and then maybe at the angles, because Twilight Mist says that she's got it on her rising sign as well. Uranus is
Yeah,
there. Well, you have Aquarius on your rising. She's got
right,
Uranus on her rising.
right.
Yeah, so I think I definitely think Uranus can manifest in different ways on the cardinal angles, the
Absolutely.
ICMC. Yeah,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
in that seventh house, y'all. I'm not going to give that away, but seventh house Uranus can be very interesting.
Truly.
He's interesting all over the place. He's not really a he or she
Yeah.
either. Yeah, this is gonna
No,
be hard
Uranus.
to keep this like less than
Oh yeah.
3 hours.
We don't have to get woke about gender, but Uranus is like not distinctly manly. In fact, one of the features of Aquarius rising or Uranus affecting the features is that men tend to look soft and effeminate, and I don't shave. I just straight up I'm one of those guys that don't grow any like facial hair. I hardly have any body hair. It's just one of those. And the ascendant rules the physical appearance, so that's where I'm drawing these correlations. Aquarius women tend to be a little boxier, kind of square jawed, a little mannish, like you have to look twice sometimes. I've had that. I've had that. No, I'm not being rude.
Yeah.
I don't mean to diminish that at all, but it's just not what we think about culturally, not what we're programmed to think about as like feminine. It's like a little bit more what the qualities. So it's Aquarius is a little bit of a gender bender. And I don't want to get all woke about it, but I want to say that Uranus and Aquarius is where you find that stuff in astrology. That's the core.
It's amazing. Yeah, and I think as we were watching Uranus kind of move through Aries, there was a lot of a cultural sort of collective movement for people to come out and be cool about it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of amazing because Aries is like the self energy, right? And then
Yeah.
Uranus is coming through there, and like, okay, who's the real self?
Yeah.
Time to come out. Time to be out.
Yeah. And Uranus, the way it energizes, like when Uranus transits a sign, the way Uranus will affect the energies of that sign is the area of life that sign correlates to. So Aries, let's say, correlates just to action and drive and new steps and bold moves. Well, Uranus energizes that. It'll energize Aries. It energizes it electrically. That's what I would say. Uranus accelerates things. That's what it does. It accelerates things by electrically energizing them.
Giving a shock, a zap.
Yeah, it does. It comes through and just like it gives you like electrics. It gives you ideas. It gives you electrifying ideas, and it makes and like it's very inspiring. It's very inspiring. And Aries is stars of Mars. So I think that there's a lot we can say about Aries that's different to the classic correlation with Mars. But just to give it to Mars, that's libido. That's I've certainly seen with Uranus in contact with Mars. One of the things we can say is like, not everybody certainly with that contact is going to be homosexual or into deviant or non-normative sexual practices, but that is again like one of the reasons that Uranus has a reputation as like freaky or kinky, because that contact, say Uranus Venus contact is the classic gay contact where you find people dating the same sex. Uranus Venus contact, and it doesn't mean that everybody has that contact. In fact, Kenneth Bowser wrote about this. He said in his experience, only about a third of people with that contact, but that's statistically significant, 1/3. So I would just want to leave that.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it is so spooky how astrology correlates. I mean, it correlates for me more than 90% of the time.
Oh, sure.
It's
Yeah.
stunning. It's stunning.
Yeah.
I have a Capricorn moon, and 70% of Capricorn moons have hysterectomies. I had a hysterectomy.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy. I mean, it was the best thing ever.
Yeah. I just didn't even know that I have a Capricorn moon, but as a man, I've been exposed to sort of different side of that.
Yeah, I don't think you would get your uterus out.
I would not. Keeping it. So
Teresa asked if there's a connection between Gaia and Uranus in mythology, right? And yeah, they were husband and wife, right? Earth and sky.
It's true. Earth and sky, right. Yeah.
And then Gaia and Uranus had Saturn, Kronos, and then I guess Saturn castrated Uranus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the phallus fell into the sea, and that became Aphrodite or Venus.
That's the classic mythological thread. That's right.
And then Saturn would eat all the babies because there was a prophecy that one of his children would overthrow him, and so he and then Jupiter came back and overthrew him. But Saturn reigned the golden age.
He did.
Yeah.
Saturn's was the most uplifted and delightful era of all the eras, of all the yugas, of all the long ages in the Platonic year, the great year. Saturn ruled that time that Plato described as a time where, I mean, I want to start with a little context. In the Iron Age, nothing works out and everything sucks. And then in the Bronze Age, we're able to do some things, but we need technology to do it. So we need electricity and technology. And then in the Silver Age, we're able to do things mentally that before we were able to do with technology. And in the Golden Age, we don't even have to use mentalism. Everything just happens spiritually. Like if you were hungry, you wouldn't even be hungry. You would just have a plate of food in your hand, and you wouldn't have to do anything about it. It'd just be how shit works. And then we go through a de-evolution of the Silver Age through and this is Plato wrote about this. Plato wrote about this and he called it the Great Year, and it correlates with some interpretations, like Swami Sri Yukteswar's, of the Yuga cycle. So some people say the Kali Yuga is like the Dark Age, and as of the Industrial Revolution in the late 1700s, many people, and I'm one of them, believe that we're out of the Kali Yuga and into the Bronze Age. We're doing things with technology. We're doing it. And in the future, we'll do things with our minds that we need technology to do now. I won't need a cell phone. I'll be like, Danny, what's good? And you'll be like, hey, I'm in a meeting.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like, cool. Yeah, and we won't even need to do finger movements.
I've often thought that our this manifestation of the internet, the ability to just sort of reach out across the electrons and
programming
have a discourse, is almost like it's literally our own physical manifestation of what we can already do.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
It is. Yeah, that's the thing. We can do this, but we lost it, so we're building it back out of crystals and transistors and stuff. So that's a neat thought. Here's another one. The long golden age, I think, is if you take the model where we're out of the shortest Iron Age as of the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, and we're now in a Bronze Age, then the last time people would have gotten out of the golden age would have been correlate to about the end of the Wisconsin Ice Age, about 11,000 years ago, and the withdrawal of the ice sheets. And so from that time, we have a story, a common narrative that we came from cave people doing Bronze Age dumb shit, right? Okay, let's like roll that up and laugh and toss it over our shoulder and think to ourselves, what if the cultures that arose in these mother cultures like Sumer and China, what if they were inheriting knowledge from an earlier time where things weren't where not only were things not less evolved, but they were significantly more evolved, and we were in a significant phase of de-evolution, right, at that time.
Like a cycle, an endless cycle of this, or
And
maybe
this,
more of a spiral, because it always goes.
yeah, and I think I'm tripping. I think actually, oh, I have to do the math. I had Swami Sri Yukteswar's like. All this stuff gets so complicated. I don't want to misrepresent that system. I'll have to look actually, but I think it was about that the last golden age would have ended as the ice age was ended. Which and I think I'm pretty sure that the basic idea that we have a very uplifted history is not, you know, like it doesn't depend on whether I'm right about Swami Sri Yukteswar's system. I think we do have. There's a lot of argument to be made for a very uplifted history and cycles of uplift and then de-evolution and then climbing back up again and then a long age of stability. And that's the great year. That's the cycle that Plato describes. And that's the Yuga cycle.
If you look at writing, right? If there was this culture where, you know, I could just call you with my head, we didn't have to really write anything down.
Who the fuck would write anything down? Why do you think these people wrote anything? What, like, people think about it all wrong, and they think, oh, they didn't write anything, and so they must have. And then here later we find some stone tools. These people must have been like monkeys if we go back far enough. That's the logic. I think it's insane. I think it's highly likely that we were never, as a kind, as humanity. This is, and I'm just stepping out on a limb here. So we always do that with axe in hand, but I'm going to step out on this limb. I think it's highly likely that from the time of our like genetic engineering and creation as a species, as a kind, I think that we were in contact with like very high intelligences who passed on culture, language. I mean, if we read our own myths, they certainly tell us that. So
amazing story.
Amazing. I have no reason to think that we came from stupidity in caves and evolving up out of ignorance. So I'll put that down. That's a tangent. That's a tangent, and I'm done with it.
I like tangents. Tangents are good. So I've also seen somewhere that Uranus has to do with DNA. Have you heard that?
That's interesting, because DNA, I don't know if I would say that I've heard that Uranus has to do with DNA. Uranus has to do with science and genetics. But I think when we get into DNA, I think oh, that's very interesting. I'm reading a comment, and there's all kinds of ways of interpreting the yugas. The way I described it is not the only one, and I'm not trying to profess in like a Vedic science like way. I'm not that guy. These are just ideas that I find.
Yeah, some things I've wondered about the yugas is if they're actually as long as they say they are. Like
some people believe they're 10 times longer than I'm describing, hundreds and millions of times longer. That we're just
or even shorter. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, you were saying something. I'm sorry.
Oh man, sorry. I'm reading interesting stuff. So what was I saying? Do you have any of the thread back to what I was saying? I feel
like I lost it too, but that's okay.
That's okay. We can move on. I was on a soapbox.
I was thinking about just sort of DNA, medicine, technology.
That was it. Yeah. DNA. I think, you know, I've heard that Mercury, because of the symbolism of the caduceus,
Hmm.
and when you have Mercury, you have Uranus, they're octaves of each other. So, you know, science and scientific knowledge, DNA, but I don't know if a planet, I mean, you could say Pluto is dual and Pluto Charon could,
Oh yeah, the way they spin around each
the
other.
way they rule
Yeah.
DNA. I don't know. You could make a lot of associations, but Uranus, I think ruling science. I think that's I've heard genetics like ascribed to Uranus. Yeah, but more the science of genetics, more like
Right.
science of more like than.
Not like the DNA, but like genetics.
Yeah, yeah, that's an important distinction. Thank you.
Okay. You know, a lot of us alive right now that are, you know, active and vital and doing things in the world have Uranus in Virgo.
That's
And
true.
I've
That's
been
true.
doing a lot of deep dives on Virgo lately.
Mm-hmm.
With just such a whole new profound respect for that energy. It's so
Mm.
underrated.
Oh yeah.
It's so
Thanks.
powerful. It's so amazing. I just yeah. Um, you know, the
It
just
always gets a bad rap. I get it.
it's intelligent divine feminine, right? That's
It is.
it's like wise divine feminine. It's
Mm,
in sacrifice, you know,
mm,
through the physical, even dying a little bit to be of service to creation. So this is beautiful. This is powerful. This is not clean and organized. This is
mm.
controlled chaos a little bit.
Oh yeah. It's
But the reason I
it's
brought up Virgo is because a lot
mm,
of us have Uranus there. A lot of us are the first people in our generation to sort of come out woo and say, yeah, this stuff works. We
it's
also were the
true.
generation that, you know, no matter what our mothers told us, we did what we wanted, even if what they were saying was wise.
Mm.
You know, so I'm wondering, you know, if that kind of sounds like your typical Uranus and Virgo, and if there's any ideas about retrograde, because I know I get that question a lot too. Like, well, what if it's in retrograde?
Mm. What if it's retrograde?
Hmm.
Um, I think when you're looking at retrogrades, you're looking at an affinity that in, you know, I am in the evolutionary strain of astrology. So when I think about retrogrades, I've been sort of some of the thinking that has informed me is that retrograde connects things to karmic cycles of the past. And if Uranus were retrograde, then Uranus representing subconscious processes might correlate to yet unresolved processes in an unconscious way. Like I don't want to define that too clearly. I'm going to speak in like very broad strokes here, but we can say roughly that Uranus moving direct or moving forward, apparently forward, is correlate with those processes that are like future oriented and not hindered, right?
Right.
Not karmically beholden to the past. You know, like we may be through with the past, right? But the past isn't through with us. That's retrograde motion.
Okay.
You know. So when we talk about a planet being natally retrograde, and we talk about someone who has and I'm one of them, has a natal chart full of direct planets. I think I have like one or two planets retrograde in my natal chart. I'm like a direct person. These people, no, they're not. They're just not. They're not very hindered. They move forward in life. They tend to make moves. Where people with a lot of retrograde, that can correlate to either an outer journey that reflects a repeat of certain cycle that needs to be repeated, like lesson needs to be learned or extracted, internalized, maybe something like that. Or it can correlate to like a retrograde cycle can correlate to um, a need to tie up certain loose ends from the past before you can move forward. So people with a lot of retrograde planets can be on an inner journey, more so to reconcile what their stimulus like is pinging on. It's like it's on
Hmm.
all this inner material. There's like unresolved karmic material coming in from the past, where direct is like what's next? We're moving on. We're free of that. So in this way of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, that most of the planets seem to take. That's the teaching. That's the thinking within evolutionary that dominates that strain. There may be other ways to think about it, and I encourage you not to take that as absolute, but it works for me. I've certainly seen it.
No, I've always wondered because, you know, the location of the planet is closer when it's retrograde, right? So when we observe Uranus, when we observe Uranus's motion as backwards,
you're right.
We are on the same side of the sun as Uranus. So a whole astronomical unit closer to the planet, closer to its influence, probably comes with all of it, like the whole baggage. I would think it's so intense for them that perhaps it is externally reflected in order to internally reconcile, because it is so intense.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm like, there's like comment coming up.
Oh yeah, Twilight Mist. I think we met through the Archaics community, and so we changed her sun rising, and so she's going through the who am I now?
It's exciting. I'm a Virgo sun too. I have a massive stellium in Virgo, and I really feel I have feelings about it, and I'm going to talk about them in my upcoming. I just shot it today. I'm in the editing process as we speak, and probably be published tomorrow. But I have a lunar cycle video looking at the October 2nd solar eclipse and the whole month. I share some thoughts about Virgo because this eclipse happens in Virgo. It's Virgo season right now.
For sure,
it's Virgo season, and I'll just leave that there. I'll kind of like just drop a little teaser, because I end up just kind of going off in very just demented ways about Virgo. None of the rulership really fits, and people have always talked about this. Just like they were going to call Uranus Estrella, they were going to give Virgo to Ceres on the discovery of Ceres. They didn't know that Ceres was part of an entire asteroid belt, that like it's not local. It's the asteroid belt. The main belt is it totally goes the whole way around. It's not a local thing. Like in an astrology chart, you couldn't localize the asteroid belt. You can localize Ceres, but when they discovered Ceres, they didn't understand there were millions of asteroids, And they said there for 50 years, they were like, holy shit, we found it. This rules Virgo. That Ceres is the feminine goddess archetype. They didn't know that Virgo is like learns through crisis and does all this like shame and guilt and like weird kind of like trauma and like not so uplifted stuff. That Virgo has like a real like kind of like humility and kind of like a complex, like a lowering complex, and it learns to be lower through all these like gnarly things. Trauma, crisis, all kind of things that correlate with Virgo. And I think that if we look at like cosmic catastrophe, in the case of something that used to be a tiny planet, that might be the Sumerians wrote about a tiny planet that was part of a cosmic collision. I think there's something important there. I think
like a cosmic trauma.
Makes sense. And I talk about it, so I'll say more about it in the video. Yeah, I think there might have been a cosmic trauma. I don't claim to know what happens. And like I said in the video, it's not interesting to me to hypothesize about that. But when we look at Virgo, we see all these qualities. When we look at the asteroids, we see all these qualities. And I talk about it in the video, like the fit, like how it all fits together. So I don't want to take up this time with that, but I will sort of say Virgo is a question mark in my book. It's always been the rulership or the correlations to planets, or like what it is or what it's doing, or like really what's going on there. Has always, I've never been satisfied with anyone's explanation of Virgo, and I'm sort of like had to reinvent my own wheel on that one.
Yeah, me too. I think it's amazing energy. It's so powerful. It doesn't have to be sort of put in the broom closet. I think that has to do with 2,000 years of
Oh man.
Ptolemy, the Roman Catholic Church.
Oh my God, Constantine, everything. We're lucky
Mm,
it's still a woman. We're lucky.
right.
We're blessed that they didn't just take it and one day just kill everyone who told you that Virgo was a woman and put up new posters with a man in the sky. We honestly, I feel fortunate.
Yeah,
It's all relative, right?
that's right.
But
Oh my goodness.
Woo. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, all that dark history of sidereal, co-opting the sidereal mythologies and turning it to suit the, interests of those in power. Yeah, so we have to see things through the cultural lens of that, you know?
yeah. I'm also doing a new moon video.
Oh, cool.
This new moon video, I'm including a void meditation. Yeah. And the way we get to the void is I will guide you in your Merkaba to the sun, and then we take a little wormhole to Nibiru, which is actually in
Okay.
this meditation. Okay, you have to suspend whatever beliefs you have. This meditation is a planet-sized black hole.
Yeah.
So we're at the black hole and we are going into it. We go into the black hole, and of course, they theorize that when you do that, you don't even really feel like you're like getting stretched or anything, or that time
Right, you
changing
don't
for
get
you.
crushed, you just
Yeah,
pass
you don't really
mesmerized
realize
and
it.
we're
It's just
yeah,
no
yeah.
one can see you anymore, and you're like. So then once we're in it, then we're in this like, and it's going to be quiet for about 10 or 15 minutes.
Right, they think
Yeah,
it's
but
like the eye
from
of
the
a
music.
storm 'cause
Mhm.
okay, I'll let you, but that's so cool. I'm, like, excited.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to include that with my new moon for the eclipse, because I think this is like a pattern break. It's a reset. We can jump timelines if we go to the void with pure intentions and like just committed to like optimism and freedom and just belief in one another, that we are sovereign spiritual beings,
That's it,
but we can
it's a
support
great
each other too. We don't
connection,
have
so
to be alone in the darkness.
yeah,
So that's my intention through the eclipse, because I think
yeah.
everyone's getting very much influenced by a lot of signs and posters and ads and things on TV, and they're being influenced if they just walk down the street. So
Mm,
for me, this is a very psychic eclipse, and if we use our psychic abilities to set these intentions of going into
mm,
the void, being reborn anew, changing our reality, that maybe we can do that. And then Mercury will go retrograde in Ophiuchus. The eclipse, he's starting his cycle, so he'll be in superior retrograde sun, and so that's a new Mercury cycle. And so the retrograde portion of it will be in Ophiuchus, and it will be at the end of November.
oh, yeah?
So yeah, so whatever we're collectively manifesting, we have to be very careful. That was my whole point
Oh,
of that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then I'm also going to put
Yeah.
out some Venus transits through Libra. She's only going to go through there for about 2 weeks, I think. And I don't think it's a very nice energy for Venus at all. Like because Venus has just going through Virgo, has just gone through, all the sort of sacred rites, initiations of Virgo, and is now like getting prepared for the transit through the, she's going into the underworld through Libra.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
once she gets through there, she's in,
But what
yeah.
does that say? What does that say? Why don't you think
I think Venus,
Venus was Ishtar. Venus has claws and teeth and all the
right, but
balls she needs to
exactly.
she's
So
not
this
yeah,
is why
here
I'm
we
saying
are.
she's uncomfortable in Libra, because she is e the ecstasy of the creation is what she likes, and sometimes that's not appropriate. Sometimes you go
Ah,
dark,
okay.
sometimes you
I think it might be how you conceptualize Libra. Because are you thinking about it as a more like well-mannered, diplomatic, kind of demure place?
walking on a tightrope, walking the windy road between the light and the
Yeah.
dark.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
the light between two worlds being like,
That's more. Yeah, that's
yeah.
not what I'm talking about. I think you're talking about it in more more like philosophical terms, like about balance and
Mhm.
like. But where I was going was to say that a lot of people think that Libra is like gentle, and I think they get that idea because Venus has been denatured in our time as just the preeminent feminine figure. I think they've made very sure to put her in little doll's clothes and take her weapons away, you know. So,
I
um,
like that.
yeah, thanks, but but
No,
I
that
think
was
I
good.
okay, okay, thank you. I think though that when we think about Libra, we can also, at the time, the Roman emperor who put Libra in the sky said, okay, now we have Libra. I don't think anyone had to die, but before that, and while that was happening, the Greeks were calling it Chele, the claws. The two stars of the scales of Libra, Zuben el Janubi and Zuben Eshanabi, mean the northern and southern claw. And those stars are not like the way we think about Venus and Libra today. Those stars, that's not how people classically thought about them, as like demure and balanced and tactful and diplomatic. No, it's the claws of the scorpion. It was the hall of Ma'at. You were going to get served truth. You were going to get served truth, and you were going to get held to the flame of truth to see if you were flammable. So Libra was never really
That's why I've been trying to sing about Virgo while she's been through Virgo, because I think doing Virgo right makes it a little easier.
I think you
It,
have
it
to do I
allows
think you
you
have to
the
do Virgo
confidence.
right
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And in every way, I think the journey around the zodiac is like you have to set the foundation. You have to set the foundation in Leo, self-confidence, in order to enter Virgo and be humbled like that and still maintain. You have to know yourself and be good with that. And if you don't do the Leo thing right, if you just fecklessly and selfishly and narcissistically fuck around, Virgo will break you off. I've seen it. Virgo will break you off. So we have to develop healthy ego and strong self-love in Leo in order to make the passage of Virgo. We have to do all this fucking countless times, so many times, this evolution before we hit Libra in like a way to actually enter into what can become like healthy and good and balanced relationship.
Mhm.
We make so many mistakes in Libra before, and it's no one's fault. It's just the nature of the thing.
And then we're hurt in Scorpio.
Sure,
And then we
sure,
go through the death and rebirth from Ophiuchus to Sagittarius.
sure.
Yeah.
Even if in Libra you find your soulmate, your one true twin flame love, and one of you is going to die first. This Scorpio's
Mhm.
coming. Like there's no like no one here who ignore. I mean, you could either try and fight the interconnectedness and interdependence of this whole thing and just go be a hermit. I think a lot of monastics did that, ironically.
Mhm.
But even then, they have monastic community. And the nuns, they're all together and doing nun things. But if you get into connection with other human beings, like it's just assured, like the sorrow will come.
Mhm.
And that's not a bad thing. I don't want to problematize Scorpio or Scorpios for that, for being correlate with that phase of the cycle. That's an important dealing with impermanence and loss is vital. Dealing with death in
Mhm.
healthy ways is absolutely part of the human journey. We all owe it to ourselves to take a dignified look at that and not other it, not push it aside and be like, I don't want to look at that. No,
Yeah, one of the hardest things I ever had to do with my husband was put our will together. Like,
oh yeah.
yeah,
And
like,
the life stuff's hard. Yeah.
yeah. She was,
That's hard.
my mom was like, "You're an adult now. You need to have a plan for if you check out." I was like, "You're right, I do." And I put it
Mm,
off for years. I didn't want to do
mm,
it. I didn't want to
yeah,
talk about it.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That
totally.
checks. That checks.
Hmm.
Sure. So, oh, thanks, Desiree, for putting my website up there. Yeah.
I think Magic Nova had a little bacon grease incident. She was
Yeah.
Cracking me up there for a second.
Oh,
She was listening while cooking.
no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah, well, you don't want to lose your brain.
Right. Oh, you
Yeah.
shouldn't cook bacon naked. That's yeah. At least you need at least an apron. Yeah.
Yeah, these are my people.
That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
I think just the spatter. The spatter is real. The spatter is real.
It definitely is. So
Cool.
yeah, I don't know that we got much of structure done tonight. I don't think.
No,
but I don't think that's going to happen.
we can bring
Yeah.
it all around. We can bring it all on. We
Mhm.
did get a little structure done. We talked
Mhm.
about planetary connections being
I think that's going to
we
be the
talked
biggest
about
part of it. I
talked about
really, really
star
do.
groups.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. You mentioned the angles, but I think when we're talking about Uranus, we are talking about the spontaneous. We're talking about where the weird happens, where everything approaches Neptune, where you can't know, and everything, the edges of knowledge, everything gets fuzzy and liminal, and you have experiences you can't explain, like reality.
Yeah, we could definitely get into what is reality for sure.
But that's a
Yeah.
Uranus question. That's a
Mhm.
Uranus question, right? I mean, Neptune's where it's like just a field of great mystery. And Uranus is where I think it's the dissatisfaction of Uranus is it's always trying to know, like its nature is to want to get to the next. And what's next? Neptune.
Which is
The
everything and nothing.
which is everything and nothing, and the spiritual truth of
Mhm.
the construct, the pure construct of the matrix, like the architecture of reality as like one thing. And then approaching that, you have Uranus, who kind of just driven to know everything. But the thing about Neptune is the closer you get to it, the further it gets from you. Trying to understand Neptune is like trying to grasp water. I think a lot of people just I don't think they ever waste time trying to understand the nature of reality. But I think when they discover something like that fits, that solves their equation, they're like, shit, I've discovered the nature of reality. And they don't understand the nature of reality has like at least three faces, at least three faces. And it doesn't like to
And
be
11
known.
dimensions
And then
and
12
and
bad
99% space.
attitudes about yeah, and it's mostly not even there. So how
Right.
does it do this? These are Uranus questions, and Uranus will seek. Uranus is what sought, so from the time we knew it was 99.9% nothing,
Right.
and discovered that it's now 99.129s 12 99.999999 percent absolutely nothing. And then that little shimmer of it that's not even really there. That's like a probability or some sort of shimmering,
Right.
like it's a field. It's not like
Mhm.
you can't grab it. It's like really, it's like, and the closer you get to reality, anyway you cut it, they've been the yogis have been doing this for thousands of years. Like people now think they saw the matrix and they like have an idea. That's cool, but people have been saying for thousands of years, this is a dream, it's a construct, it's a simulation, it's a projection that and it's an electro. Okay, so here's a cool thing I want to say before we get back to doing structure.
Right. Yeah, whatever we're doing. Yeah.
Uranus and Neptune correlate to like electromagnetic phenomenon. But it's like the spiritual level electromagnetic phenomenon that's like this is projected
Mhm.
like with and by like that this I mean when you get into Neptune and consciousness, there's no there over there, there's no this is all just happening in consciousness, like there really is no, we can say and we can even agree it's over there, but that's just because we're conscious and we have access to consciousness.
Right. We can
It's
see
not
it over
happening
there.
anywhere else, it's just consciousness. And you can take that and fold that back on itself
Mhm.
in an endless regression. Now, Uranus, its endless regression is to try to approach the mystery and figure it out. And I think that you pointed to the constant frustration of never being able to. I'm
Right.
so convinced that this whole thing's just a question mark the whole way down to the last turtle. It's just I don't think God knows what's going on. If you ask me, God's trying to figure itself out, and that's why all this happens. But that's enough out of me. It is. If you want to get to structure, I think we should while we're here because it is a
Okay.
brainstorming session, and I don't want to put you in a situation where we just fucked around and theorized and
Oh no,
philosophized.
we're not. We're not.
Okay,
I'll keep you in line. I'll keep you in line on Friday for sure.
someone's got to.
Yeah. Sometimes going by the elements is nice too. Kind of taking
Yeah.
it apart, with ether, water, fire, and air and earth.
Mm,
So ether would obviously be, Uranus and Ophiuchus,
mhm,
um,
mhm.
and Scorpio kind of energy. So yeah, so we could talk about, we'll go through all that and what that means, and then we could go into the water elements and then each element, and then do the planetary combinations, or we could look at planet combinations as examples while we're talking about the element. So there's lots of different ways.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, do you have a format that you've like overwhelmingly favored in your other classes?
I like going by the elements. I feel
Yeah,
like you can get to the heart of it in a way that's still informative and interesting.
yeah.
Oh, and by the way, guys, if you have any funny Uranus memes, I would love you to email them to me. I have a couple, but I need some more because I like to throw those into the presentations. So
Nice.
if you guys have any fun astrology Uranus memes, I'd love them,
Cool,
especially
cool.
about anything we talked about tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think doing it by like that, and then almost everything can be like, we can just throw up like one slide with like the keyword and the element and the
Yeah, I agree.
planet
I
that's
agree.
associated. Yeah.
And that's really what you said it before I could, but I was thinking if just in the spirit of broad strokes, if we sort of know enough about what we want to do that we can create outline and just riff.
Yeah, I think that's the
Um,
best way to do it. I
yeah,
really do.
I think that's wonderful. And I think that you should, for the benefit of your students and for just the goodness of consistency, which people like, I
Mhm.
think you should do it the way that is compatible with how you've, presented your course so far.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I will have a resource document that has, like, if you're looking up Uranus 7th house, Uranus Scorpio, Uranus plus Mars, that will be available. And then we will also have that meditation. And then we will have a short slide deck, which will be very weird for me. Okay, you can ask these guys. I can go up to 300 slides if you're if we're not
Wow.
careful.
Wow.
Yeah, on one planet. um, so I'll keep the slide deck real short, and then examples are fun to do. So I don't know. Sometimes I ask the people that are there with the live, would you like us to do your chart? We can do it anonymously, or you can just be
Oh,
brave
cool,
and
cool. Yeah.
put your chart out there, um,
Mm.
if they want to, or we can do famous people, or we can just spin the wheel and see where it lands. We can
Yeah,
also do that.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, when I think of Uranian people, I think of the first person that comes to mind for me would be David Bowie. The second person would
Okay, yeah.
be Nikola Tesla, which is interesting because David Bowie played Nikola Tesla in I'm gonna blank on it. But we could do charts, or we could do Desiree's chart. She just popped up and said, "Yes, do my chart." So
Okay.
I leave that up to you. I like however you want to structure it. I can in like spontaneous
Yeah,
Uranian
me too.
flow. Yeah, we can just roll with it.
I can do it. I can do it. I love Uranus energy. It does make there is a little discontent there. There's always like, what do I need to do
Mm-hmm.
next?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of like, oh, I feel so good in this wonderful space, which is no, kind of
Right. Right.
contradictory to my Venusian nature.
It is. It is Uranus needs I would say Venus, Uranus could do with some Jupiter. Uranus gets
Mhm.
balance. Uranus actually gets a lot of balance from Saturn. Um, yeah, it doesn't on its own. It is. It's perpetually dissatisfied. And
Mhm.
Neptune is where you find, of course, that like probably too satisfied, like overly, maybe like
Right.
just chilling out, like would rather nap. Thank you.
It's all
And
one in the end. It's
yeah,
cool.
all
Don't
one.
worry about it. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So, there was a generation recently of Uranus Neptune conjunction folks.
Mhm.
They're a little bit younger than us, but I think they see the world in a very wonderful way, very very profound way. Um, did somebody the prestige? Thank you, Desiree. Desiree, you're a ringer coming up with thanks. You're
She's a
great.
rising star.
I'm appreciative. Thank you. It was the prestige I was thinking of. Of course, not like it would have been another one, but yeah. So, um, Danny, do you have while we're on the line? I think if you don't have questions for me, maybe we could like just open it up to questions like from people, or
Sure.
if anything's like, do you have anything you want to finish up though? Did that like?
I just had those few points in the beginning. I mean, really, every time I went to try to like think about it, Uranus was like, "Go see what your dog's doing." Go check Facebook. It was like
Uranus
I just
functions
couldn't.
best spontaneously, channeling it in
Mhm.
unexpected ways. It's weird. It's like a muscle memory. It's like a liminal state you have to get familiar with and be able to access. Like it's just something that you grow, but it's a mode, and it doesn't like that. And through accessing that mode, we gain confidence. We gain a
Mhm.
lot of confidence and self knowledge.
Yeah, let's see. Any questions? Oh, why is that there? There we go. Oh, my liver, do me.
Desiree says I looked it up on Google. Brilliant, brilliant. Ask a robot. If you can't find someone younger than 12 to ask about technology or the world, just ask a robot.
I use Copilot all the time.
Yeah.
Especially for what day of the week were people born? I
Oh, cool.
say,
Yeah.
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 Oh, Mars, Uranus, Venus combo
On
on her
rising
rising
sign.
sign.
Yeah. Random. Yeah.
Oh, March 1st, 1960. Cool. Well, Twilight, you'll have to join the class and give us your chart so we can do you if you're not already in the course. But yeah, what I'll do, if you guys are in it, you'll get an email from me probably Wednesday or Thursday evening with specific instructions to join the call. Like if you can't figure it out through the course website, then I'll give you the direct link and the password. And then I'll also fish for anybody who wants to have their chart sort of as an example of a cool Uranus combination. The harder the better, the weirder the better, guys. Like
Oh,
if
yeah.
it's something you've spent 5 years trying to decode, then bring it to the class. We'll figure it out for you. I think it'll be pretty cool. Yeah. And I'm just so excited that I think we have 10 people in the class right now. So
Cool.
I would love to get as many as we can so we can help you
Yeah.
guys through this time and make it a little easier for you for all your generosity and your knowledge to the
Yeah.
community.
Yeah, I hope some people get like see this and get interested. I hope you get more people. We get more people.
Yeah. And I have Venmo and PayPal and Cash App and all that stuff, guys. So if you want to reach out to me to do that, you can do it that way. I tried to set up Bitcoin today, but my my website doesn't have a direct app, and so basically I'd have to handle each transaction just like I would with Cash App. So if you guys want to pay with Bitcoin, you could do that too, or any other cryptocurrency. So
PayPal doesn't let you incorporate. PayPal doesn't let you
yeah,
incorporate.
no, I haven't even tried that. I just have
Haven't tried.
I
Okay.
have I have a lot of stuff.
Oh
Actually,
yeah.
probably what I'm gonna need next year is somebody who can help me to like
Yeah. Yeah.
get my stuff organized
Yeah.
so that I can serve you guys better. Because I'm doing it all
Okay.
myself, and I think I'm doing a good job. I'm pretty smart, but at the same time, I know I could do it a little bit better. So always learning,
Gotcha.
always learning.
Gotcha.
But yeah, wow, Michael, thank you. Gosh, I love you. Thank you for coming
Oh,
on.
I love you too. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. It's been an honor, and I think it's been a good start. Good omens, just feeling the flow and get the purple lights. I matched my lights to
Oh, nice. Yes.
yours.
So I'll do all that little back end sort of nitty gritty office work stuff for all of this. Like we'll have the the course is already set up, but I'll have the PowerPoint ready to go. So it'll be a cue for us to just kind of get into where we're at. And then also I'll have the resource document either done. I probably have it done before. I'm going to try to.
Okay. If not, I feel pretty confident with just trusting your work and going on the fly.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you guys email me if you have any questions, join the Fellowship of 13 Sign, subscribe to Michael's channel, join Radical Astrology too. It's our sort of sister community. I guess the fellowships for the learning, and then the radicals for like the debating. Maybe, I don't know.
Debating.
I don't know.
I started a Facebook community called Radical Astrology, and if you're on this call, you're certainly invited. It's a place for a couple things. One is all kinds of just natural or ancient or archaic astrology that uses the real skies, not approximate zodiacs. So true sidereal, what some people call it. Other people have systems called true lifetime sky. And this is emergent. It's important to understand the context of this historically. This is emergent, very recent, very new. So these strains have developed independently, and I wanted to create a space where everyone who is involved in constellational astrology, by all these different names and all these different streams, everyone could kind of get together. And it was like
some really amazing connections are made over there.
Yeah, some cool connections.
Yeah.
I want to say astrology can be a little bit of a battle zone sometimes with people's egos, and I wanted to create, and I don't mean anything negative by that, just that people get very defensive and territorial.
Yeah.
And I wanted to create a place like if you're there's I think in organized crime, generally speaking, you don't kill people in a cemetery. If you're going to have a meeting at a cemetery, it's just understood. That's a peaceful place. You don't disturb the peace of that place. It's a no-kill zone. And I wanted to create a cemetery in the organized crime world of astrology where we could all get together and have peaceful meetings and kind of talk across the aisles, at least the siderealists. But it turned into a place where people share charts. Excuse me.
Yeah, we ask esoteric
and
questions.
ask questions and just people can talk. Dude, right. And people
Mm-hmm.
can talk about all this stuff that I don't think they're really encouraged or able to talk about in a lot of the corners of the astrology world. So it's just very open, it's very friendly and permissive and good. Yeah.
Yep.
Radical
And the
astrology.
fellowship is for people that are just being red pilled. So like we're not going to get too deep over there. It's more like, okay,
Oh, don't kid yourself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can.
You're getting, yeah.
But I really want people to like just if they're like, oh my God, I just found out I'm a Cancer, not a Leo. Like, okay, come on in. Let me show you where all the resources are, at least that I've developed and where I know other people are, and just be a part of the growing constellational astrology group.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I think the communities work together really well, and I just invite everyone here to check that out on Radical Astrology.
Yeah, right on. Yeah. All right, brother. Well, I'm gonna let you go.
Thank you.
And I got to work tomorrow, so I might do a Jeep chat on the way to work tomorrow. I don't know.
Okay. I don't know what that is.
I just one day, last week, I was like, I just need to talk about epigenetics, and I put my phone on my thing, and I just did it, and then I published it.
Okay.
I don't know. Physician astrologer. I might as well talk about some medical topics.
Yeah. Cool. Is epigenetics how would you briefly define epigenetics?
Oh, yeah, sure. So your DNA, when it's in that chromosome shape, you know, when you look at it under the microscope and it looks like X's or whatever, it's coiled, it's packed up real tight. And when you need to express a gene, let's say, for example, you want to, this is the example I used, was you need to make a placenta. The hormones of pregnancy will come around and just sort of surround the DNA and unwind it. And then when it does that, then the proteins can make placenta for you. And then when you're done being pregnant, it winds back up. So, but epigenetics can be affected by a lot of things, like a state of inflammation. It can be affected by light. It can be affected by water. Yeah, Jeep log, Jeep chat. And I have Jeep ducks too. Have you seen that?
What, Jeep ducks?
Jeep ducks?
No.
Oh yeah. So last year, I don't know where it started, but there was this campaign to duck Jeep owners. So people would go around just putting little rubber duckies on Jeeps, and they say, "You've been ducked." And I've been ducked like 8 times.
Oh wow! Do you collect them? Do you put them on
They're
your
they're in my
dashboard
they're
and
in my
oh, cool.
they're in my dash right now. So they hold the camera for me.
Cool. Yeah, I'm not a Jeep person. I did not know. I did not know about the Jeep duck.
Oh yeah.
I wish you. Yeah. I've seen them. I've seen.
And they
Jeep
have
ducks.
like little hats you can put on them, and little capes and clothes, and some of them have like little propellers, or they'll have a wand or something.
Wow, like specifically for duck.
Yeah, all kinds of different characters. Yeah.
Wow.
So you know, the idea is you're supposed to take your duck and put it on somebody else's Jeep, and then they've been ducked. So every time I would go to the grocery store or go get my hair done, I'd come out, there'd be a damn duck on my Jeep.
Right? Yeah. I just find fads and trends so weird. Like they don't have to make sense. They don't have to make any sense at all. But people, just masses of people be doing it.
That's it.
All right. Well,
I love.
All right. Ciao.
All right. Okay. We'll see you guys next Friday. Take care.